back of the field. 5-second board is held aloft. Volkswagen Golf and Caterham on the front row of the grid. Rear-wheel drive Caterham, you could argue, should get off the line better than the front-wheel drive Golf. Red lights on, red lights go out now. Really poor start from the Unique Racing Charlie Paul Canadian Potter you've got, and then all of a sudden missing a gear right in the middle of the pack is Chris Payne from the front row of the grid. That's created a bit of a bottleneck effect, but everybody has driven sensibly up towards Paddock Hill Bend in the end. For poor old Chris Payne, he has tumbled down through the order, just missed a gear or it wouldn't engage or something. He's outside of the top 10, but it's Scott Parkin that is going to lose the lead of the race. As diving through goes the Team KAR Honda Civic in the hands of Phil Keed, sharing this weekend with Justin Roberts. The two of them side by side on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. Volkswagen Golf going to go through and pick up the lead of the race. So it's the Team Darkside Golf of Scott Parkin that leads. It is the Team KAR Honda Civic that's there in second place, and that's John Lyne, isn't it, that's there in third place. The BMW is there in third. Fourth at the moment, looks as though that might be Darren Goes possibly that's there in fourth position, and we'll just hang on and see who it is that's there in fifth place. But in a straight line, the BMW of John Lyne has extra power over the Honda, rockets the beam through and up into second position.
Yeah, good start from John Lyne. He's gone from fifth to second in just about a lap or so, helped by the difficulty for Payne in the Caterham off the line. So Chris Payne is now getting back up into some form of contention, passing Freddie Hewitt on the approach to Druids, or at least trying to pass the BMW Mini around Druids. Can't get through there, but Payne in the Caterham trying to get back after what was a missed gear off the start, and everyone drove very well to avoid what could have been an accident with so many cars on the grid. 31 cars passing the Caterham almost. It was very close, but everyone got through it, and Parkin out front is starting to stretch his legs a bit, just passing the MSV centre now and edging further clear of John Lyne in second spot.
Yeah, so John Lyne, good run in second position, started fifth on the grid, but the rear-wheel drive BMW pushing hard, the E36 M3. Team KAR Honda Civic sitting there in third position. Fourth place is Darren Goes. Fifth place is just still at the moment the fast starting Pro-Am Racing Honda Civic, Renault Clio of Ben Johansson and Scott Thompson, but they are under enormous pressure from the car that sits behind, which is going to be the number 27 Volkswagen Golf of Beaufort Racing. That's the car that Sean Andrews shares with Clive Goldthorpe. And they're also still then under pressure from Alf Hyde's Renault Clio and the recovering Caterham of the man from the outside of the front row of the grid, which is going to be Chris Payne. So squabbles for fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, all absolutely together as they weave their way through Surtees and up towards McLaren.
Yeah, Chris Payne now on the tail of Alf Hyde, then in the Renault Clio. This should be another place for Payne by the end of this lap, and he's going to nip past, going down the Brabham Straight, passes the Clio with ease, as you would expect. Next target is going to be the Golf and Clio ahead, and having said he's passed Hyde of ease, Hyde down the straight was quick and stayed alongside the Caterham, but the move is now done, it seems. Hyde's not giving up though for what is 8th place between the two of them, and Caterham versus Clio, the Caterham does just now come out on top.
Yeah, so the next guy's going to want to pick his way through is the number 127 Beaufort Racing Volkswagen Golf, which bounces his way off the curbs and it's going to run a little bit wide coming out of Graham Hill Bend. That allows Chris Payne to draw the Caterham alongside. He might not have the puff in a straight line, but he's got the handling, and of course he's a lighter car, so he can always afford to break that a little bit later than the saloon-based cars that are around him. So he is now up into 6th position. The next guy he's going to want to set his sights about is the Pro-Am Racing Renault Clio of Ben Johansson and Scott Thompson, but in a straight line. Is the Golf going to come back at him? No, he's already passed that Clio, he's already gapped it, he's starting to pull away. Another place gained. The next then target for the pink Caterham with its yellow roll hoop is going to be the number 22 Clio of Darren Goes.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a story of the race then. The charge for Chris Payne in 45 after that difficult getaway. He's making his way back up quite nicely. Good tussling behind of the Johansson, Thompson and Andrews and Goldthorpe pairings in the Renault Clio. It's come down into Graham Hill Bend. The Golf and the Clio and the older shaped Clio in the mix as well. Three scrapping it out as they come past the rear of the commentary box into Surtees, and the Golf with the Clio snapping at its heels really good scrap for 6th, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, that was a couple of wheels on the grass there for the Beaufort Motorsport Volkswagen Golf, as it just about managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction as it briefly touched the grass. Sean Andrews and Clive Goldthorpe, that is, who are fending off the aspirations of Alf Hyde, whose Renault Clio is looking for the inside line, thinks better of it as he heads in towards Paddock Hill Bend. A great little fight this is actually. Golf, Clio, and then the BMW is in the McKee Motorsport car that sits off the back of it in 9th position. That's going to be the number 36 car that is there, that dark blue machine that Rob Dowsett shares with Sam McKee.
Yeah, it's going along nicely in what is 9th for now for the 36 runner. It's the self-prepared and a road legal BMW. You can see the number plate still on the front and the rear of the car, so it's really doing well to be up inside the top 10 as Alf Hyde makes a move right around the outside to get 6th place away from Andrews and Goldthorpe in their 27 Golf. That was a great move from Hyde, right around the outside at Surtees. Super brave stuff. You have to be really committed to do that around the outside of Surtees into McLaren, but a white Renault Clio is going to be up now into the top 6. Brilliant move, and that was one of the moves of the day around the outside.
Yeah, that might be up into the top 6, but I think into the pit lane is highly likely to be the number 98 Renault Clio at the end of this lap, the second of the two unique racing cars that Charlie Polk and Adrian Pottinger share, because that car has slowed over the course of this lap, and is indeed heading towards pit lane entry, so an early bath for one of the unique racing Renault Clios. That little squabble that you were talking about, Alf Hyde and co, just turning its way in towards Graham Hill Bend, just seem as though the Volkswagen Golf, the Beaufort Racing Volkswagen Golf, has the upper hand over the cars it's squabbling with in a straight line, but it does seem to understeer a heck of a lot more than the others heading in towards Graham Hill Bend. It just can't hook the apex and seem to get cleanly off that corner.
No, and they've got that rear-wheel drive BMW still sticking with them as well, with the number plate still on the front and rear of the car. He's right there with the Renault Clio Brigade, which is scrapping over 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. It's 4 cars with little to choose between them. Darren goes ahead of that pack in number 22, a similar livery to what he runs with his Seat TCR Spec Leon, which is helpful for us. Darren's got a rather lonely 5th place currently, behind Payne in the Caterham, ahead of Hyde in the Clio. This fight between the BMW of Dowsett and McKee and Johansson and Thompson in their older shape Renault Clio continues coming out of Graham Hill Bend. It looks like McGee and the BMW might now have the nose up the inside, but again Johansson and Thompson shut the door for now, and that front wheel drive versus rear driven scrap between the BMW and the Clio is going to rumble on, I think, possibly up until the pit window. It really has been a good frantic squabble between the two.
It has, we've got about another 7.5 minutes before the pit window opens. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on for second place as well, really, because we have got John Line coming under an increasing amount of pressure now from the Honda Civic that sits behind. Now that's the Team KAR Honda Civic that is currently running third on the road, but is looking good potentially for second in the championship if it stays where it is. They are both, however, being caught by the recovering Caterham in the hands of Chris Payne, who last time through the pink number 45 Caterham set the fastest lap of the race we've seen so far. 54.556 seconds, was over 1.3 seconds quicker than the BMW and the Honda Civic ahead. So the fight for second, third and fourth is now beginning to fully form. Over the start-finish line goes our race leader. Number 13, Scott Parkin, leads the way, heads on to lap number 10. There goes the 3 cars that aren't quite fully as yet fighting over second, third and fourth, but they're all closing up. And again, the Caterham, another fastest lap of the race for Chris Payne, 54.397 seconds.
Further back, there's a good score between Jordan Honeybone, Ray Honeybone and the Freddie Hewitt BMW Mini. They've switched around on the last tour, with Freddie Hewitt dropping a couple of places because also involved is the 89 Renault Clio of Polk and Pottinger, the one remaining Polk and Pottinger Renault Clio, which was starting right at the front end of the field, but is down in 11th spot currently, mired in this squabble between Hewitt and the Honeybone Renault Clio. So that's a squabble there with drivers you'd expect to see higher up the order, but with the pit stops coming, the order could well be shuffled.
It's shuffled at the front end because Chris Payne has now gone through into third position and ahead of the Phil Keane and Justin Roberts Honda Civic. So Chris Payne now up into third position. Remember, he started on the outside of the front row of the grid. Initially got not a bad start, but then missed a gear in the second phase, which he was lucky to get away with it, really, as he went nowhere quick, whilst everybody else was flying past him at the start of the race. But thankfully, everybody was driving sensibly and there was no contact made at all. And that dropped him way down through the order. He's now had to carve his way back through, and he's now hot onto the heels of the BMW E36 M3 in the hands of the second place car of John Lyne. This will also be not just for overall position, this will be for class position as well. Both of these cars running in Class B, such as their power to weight ratio, but Chris Payne has the run on the inside and sneaks his way through up into second place. So up to second now for the Caterham, down to third for the Beamer.
And still that tussle between Honeybone and Paul Potton just continuing as it goes up into Surtees and through McLaren. Likewise, the Alf Hyde and Andrews and Goldthorpe tussle is continuing down the Brabham Straight out of Clark Curve. So there are fights everywhere you look in the MSVT Trackday Championship, and this second, third and fourth place cars still close as they go up through Druids, with Payne now clear of John Lyne, with the Phil Keane and Roberts number 4 car in fourth place, the Honda Civic, through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. There's packs of cars. We've got different little battle packs of 3 or so, which is making for quite a compelling action in the early part of this race.
Yeah, so the race leader will be heading over the start-finish line, starting to get himself well and truly amongst the traffic over the course of the last few laps. Stephen Kelly's Citroen Saxo is the next of the cars that our race-leading Volkswagen Golf is going to have to deal with. Here comes now Chris Payne in second position, John Lyne in third, and still with the Honda Civic sitting there in fourth place, still leading its class as well, so he might have lost out to some of the other cars around it, but the Honda Civic is still leading Class C at the moment. That is for cars with between 126 and 150 brake horsepower per tonne. So our race leader Scott Parkin leads Class B, the Honda leads Class C at the moment, and leading Class D, you have to look all the way down to car number 38 in 16th position is the leader of Class D. That is the Ford Fiesta, the white and the Dayglow car that Kevin Glover shares with Henry Wright. That is the Class D leader at this stage.
Yeah, and they are going along quite nicely in 16th spot currently. The nearest challenger is the James Jeffrey BMW Z3 in number 101, currently in 18th, so 2 spots back for Class D honours.
Is that Club Racing UK Mini slowing out on circuit? Looks as though it might be, you know. Yeah, lots of smoke coming from the tail end of that Mini. Does not look good. It is now pulling off the circuit, and I'm afraid that is going to be it. We have lost the car that Matt Hibbert shares with Stefan March. Club Racing UK Mini is out.
And Darren Goes is now coming under pressure from the older shaped car of Alf Hyde. So it's a Renault Clio fight for 5th place, and Darren Goes is just trying to keep Alf Hyde at bay. Very close, almost too close for comfort as they went into Paddock Hill Bend that time around, but it's the more up-to-date Clio of Goes which keeps Hyde at arm's length just for now. It was a little bit close as they went into Paddock last time through. They got yellow flags at Graham Hill Bend, so there's no chance of overtaking there, and they've still got the Andrews and Goldthorpe VW Golf keeping a watching brief behind, and don't forget the Class C BMW of Dowsett and McKee currently running in 8th spot. So Alf Hyde's done well to close up on Darren Goes, because a few laps ago Goes was in a lonely 5th place, but he's now got company.
Yeah, the waved yellow flags down at Graham Hill Bend is because the Mini didn't quite have enough power to get itself fully behind the barriers, so Trackside Recovery are just about to attach a strop to the front of the Mini, and they will then tow the car out of harm's way. So the yellow flags, whilst marshals and recovery crews are out there, have now been upgraded from single waved yellows to double waved yellows, but in around 30 seconds time they'll be brought back in again because the Mini should be fully behind the barriers then. Pit window is now just 70 seconds away from opening. Now remember, that is just the opening of the pit window. It will remain open for 15 minutes, so there's plenty of time for teams and drivers to decide when is best for them to come into the pit lane. Over the start finish line goes the race leader. That is now 15 laps completed for car number 13, the Team Dark Side Volkswagen Golf of Scott Parkin, which remember has already stitched up the championship. You
can see why as well. Very rapid indeed. Fastest lap on is still with Chris Payne though, 54.397 for the second place Caterham, which is 4.7 seconds away from the VW Golf. And remember how close they were in qualifying. There's the run down Hayward's Hill between them, really. As Parkin turned into Graham Hill Bend, the Caterham was just exiting Druid, so this race isn't done. Parkin has the advantage for now. We have 30 minutes left to go, plus the pit stop window, which will arrive in 20 seconds or so time, so there's still a lot to unravel here in this one, but that gap of 4.7 seconds between Parkin and Payne has been static for now. Has it changed at all on this tour? The lights are ablaze on Chris Payne in the Caterham, so he is meaning business, and he's got some clear circuit ahead, so he should be able to edge closer to the VW Golf ahead. But lap time wise, last time around, Parkin was just quicker than the second place runner.
There was a telltale signs of lots of dust in the air at Paddock Hill Bend a few laps ago. I missed the car that caused it. I could see the tyre tracks in the gravel trap, and I've been looking for dusty sidewalls and cars, and I'm struggling to establish which one it was. We missed it, and it was already back on track by the time we'd done it. So race leader is now on lap number 17. Nobody has opted to take the opportunity to dive into the pits just as yet, but there is a bit of traffic coming up for the race leader. So is this a lap that Scott Parkin is going to dive for the pit lane? Is he going to stay out and do a further lap? No, race leader stays out. Busy lap coming up ahead though, as the number 13 Volkswagen Golf is about to head onto lap number 17. Is about to complete, so we'll be heading onto lap number 18, and leads by around about 5 seconds at this stage of the race from Chris Payne's Caterham.
And Darren Goes has now lost out to Alf Hyde in that fight for fifth place. So Hyde has made his way through past Darren Goes now, and Goes is coming under pressure from the VW Golf of Andrews and Goldthorpe at Clearways. There's a three-way scrap for fifth place. It's for sixth place, sorry. It's Goldthorpe versus Goes versus Dowsett and McKee. We have lights on the BMW behind, and Darren Goes is going to go right around the outside of Andrews and Goldthorpe on the run to Paddock Hill Bend. This is for 6th, 7th and 8th position on circuit, and the BMW of McGee is right in the middle of it. Darren Goes is going to get up the inside of the Andrews and Goldthorpe VW Golf into Druids, and the BMW is still right there as well. So too is Johansson and Thompson, and Paulk and Pottinger can't be ruled out of this as well. We could name the rest of the top 10, I think.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, from Darren Goes and the four cars after him are all busy squabbling away, but it's the Mango's Racing Clio that's at the sharp end of it, followed by Beaufort Motorsport, followed by the McKee Racing BMW, then Pro-Am Racing, which is going to be the older shape number 12 Clio of Ben Johansson and Scott Thompson, and then Unique Racing, which is the sole remaining Charlie Polk and Adrian Pottinger car. Several cars opting for the pit lane this time through though, which include the likes of Freddie Hewitt, Ollie Owen, the Burnhams, Ronan Quinn, Toby Hodgson, Julian Jeffrey are all in the pit lane at this stage.
None of the top lot just yet though, and it's still Parkin and Payne continuing to lap the Indy circuit. Parkin's coming out of Clearways now, that puff of black smoke out of the rear of the diesel-powered VW Golf. Payne Caterham is sticking to the normal line as well. That will stay on the race circuit to continue on its way. It's not going to dive into pit lane just yet. Third place car as well, that stays on to the longer route as well. That's the BMW of John Lyon of Keane and Roberts behind. Would any of the fifth place and backwards battle pack go into the pit lane? No, Alf Hyde sticks to the race circuit as well. So the leading contenders in the top 10 and the rest of the top 10 in fact are all sticking to the normal line and are not going to go into their mandatory pit stop just yet, as we have a 5-second time penalty for car 12 flash up on the timing screen. That's
the Ben Johansson and Scott Thompson car.
It is, yeah, so that's one that's inside the top 10 then, and that will hurt it come the end of the race. 5-second time penalty for number 12, which has been involved in the squabble from 5th down to 10th.
Yeah, which is just coming up to laps of traffic here. Stephen Kelly's Citroen Saxo is the next of the cars that Darren Goes and co are going to want to try and weave their way through and past. We've had the Honeybones into the pit lane this time through, so the Apple Car Centre Renault Clio, that was the championship winning car from last year but lies third in the championship standings coming into this race, is into the pit lane. That's the only team I know the starting driver for, because Jordan Honeybone texted me earlier on and said that he was going to take over from Dad. So Jordan jumping on board that car, so it's dropping down through the order at the moment. As over the start finish line goes Darren Goes. Into the pit lane though comes the McGee Motorsport BMW, so that was one of those that was inside the top 10. Rob Dowsett, Sam McKee and Beamer Dyson pit lane.
Into its pit box it goes, lights off, door open, and the 36 BMW will get checked over. Driver change will take place.
And we've got one in the gravel trap, I'm afraid, at Paddock Hill Bend. That looks like that's quite a hit into the gravel trap there, I'm afraid to say. So Marshall's dealing with that. And it's the Beaufort Motorsport Volkswagen Golf that's gone off, I'm afraid. So that's the Sean Andrews Clive Goldthorpe car.
You mentioned earlier about the... Yeah, it looked quite understeer at times, but that's often quite...
Yeah, safety car, I think, is going to be coming out. The SC boards are flashing, lights are on the safety car. Pit window is open. Now is the time to pit, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Use the safety car to the advantage, and those who have pitted early, yeah, could lose out here because the driver is out of the car, which is good to see, because that is, yeah, not an ideal place to go off at the top of Paddock Hill Bend. And Marshall's at the scene. And pit lane is becoming very busy indeed, with the Apple Car Centre Renault Clio of Jordan and Ray Honeybone. Jordan now taking his turn in the car, just channelling back onto the race circuit, as the rest of the pit lane behind him becomes very busy indeed.
Yeah, now the start of their pit stop was before the safety car came out. It's really, once the safety car is out, that's when and the lights are out on the safety car, then there won't be any waving by of the cars behind the safety car, and Scott Parkin and Chris Payne will have to do it the hard way here and be cutting through the order themselves. Bill, teenager still, is Freddie Hewitt. He's got Jordan Honeybone in the Apple Car Centre Clio alongside and ahead, who is able to sneak his way through as they go out of Graham Hill Bend. But only now over the start-finish line do we get the race leader going through. The Volkswagen Golf caught up in traffic at the moment, trying to peel his way through some slower cars, and he needs to get on Scott Parkin because the pink Caterham of Chris Payne was only 1.1 seconds behind him as they came over the start-finish line, fighting for second and third in the race.
Yeah, and that's 4.7 seconds before the pit stops and the safety car, so that gap has eroded between the top two. The Caterham of Chris Payne's got a BMW Z3 and a Ford Fiesta in its way before it can set its sights on the rear spoiler of the diesel-powered 2010 built VW Golf ahead of it, of race leader Scott Parkin, as Alf Hyde and the McGee and Dowsett BMW are having a good fight, side-by-side action into Paddock Hill Bend. That's for 4th and 5th place. Darren goes now up into 3rd position in his Renault Clio, and that fight between Hyde and the road legal BM is still continuing through Druids.
Yeah, great little squabble that the pair of those are having, and they're still going to be side by side as they come down in towards Graham Hill Bend. The McKee Motorsport BMW has the inside line and is able to take the place away from the Tyler Motorsport repaired car in the hands of Alf Hyde, who used to race a Ford Fiesta in this series for a good number of years before switching to the Clio a couple of seasons ago. For the lead of the race, though, in towards the braking area for Graham Hill Bend comes the race leader for the 30th time. There are 3 back markers between himself and Chris Payne, which for the moment is enough breathing space, isn't it, for Scott Parkin, just to be able to crack on, and he's now past the back markers and can concentrate on some clear road ahead, whilst Chris Payne is still trying to thread his way through and past them at this stage.
Yeah, that's coming through clearways now, the race leader, past the Motorsport Vision Centre on the outside of the gravel trap. The VW Golf has got a couple of cars between itself and the Caterham. Lights ablaze still on the Chris Payne Caterham 7 behind. So the 45 car with the pink body and the yellow roll hoop, it really does stand out on the circuit, and he's making it stand out even more with the lights fully on now as he tries to chase down the race leading VW Golf of Parkin. It's up to 2.3 seconds now, the gap between the two. The 3rd place runner is still Darren Goes in the Renault Clio, but there's a real large gap between the 1st and 2nd place runners and this fight for 3rd and 4th and 5th, which is still continuing because the McGee and Dowsett BMW is on the outside of Alf Hyde in the Renault Clio as they came through clearways. They're right in the middle of traffic. Darren Goes is flashing his lights BTCC style along the Brabham Straight to try and keep a back marker clear, but that fight for 4th and 5th is right in the middle of a load of traffic and is as hard fought as ever between the BMW and the Renault Clio.
Yeah, absolutely great little fight between those two. They've also got bearing down on them John Lyne at the wheel of his BMW, who is a car that is well worth watching out for as well, because the number 172 BMW going very, very quickly indeed. As for the race leader, well, it looks as though the lead advantage is still there or thereabouts what it was. It changed by 3/1000ths of a second last time through, so nothing between the Volkswagen Golf and the number 45 Caterham in the hands of Chris Payne. They are still separated by that similar margin, and we've got now just 11 minutes to go in this final race of the season for the MSVT Trackday Championship.
Yeah, not long left to run then with Parkin, Payne. Darren Goes, the third place runner. It's calmed down slightly from previous form between Hyde, Dowsett and McGee for 4th and 5th. And don't rule out John Line, who's back into the top 6 now in 71. The bright blue BMW with the day glow yellow flashes. It's through the Druids hairpin now, approaching Graham Hill Bend, and it's nearing the rear bumper of the similar BMW ahead of it, of the Dowsett and McGee car. So John Line, who was running second at one point, I think earlier in the race, at least third, in the BMW, he's now making his way back up through the order, and he's inside the top 6, the former rallycross man, with Dowsett and McGee ahead.
Yeah, great little fight it is for really 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th places heading over the start-finish line. So the leading Renault Clio, the number 22 car at the front of this little queue, needing to work his way past the traffic. The two BMWs side by side for what will be 5th and 6th position. And is John Line going to get up the inside of the McGee Motorsport BMW? No, he's going to try all the way around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. And the Tyler Motorsport driver, John Line, makes it stick there, gains the place. That now gives him 5th position. And he can now set his sights about catching the next car ahead, which will be his teammate, actually, won't it? So it's Tyler Motorsport BMW now trying to hunt down Tyler Motorsport prepared Renault Clio of Alf Hyde.
Yeah, so even the teams have varied cars in the awning, and the front-wheel drive Clio has got the BMW looming ever larger in its mirrors, but Hyde's keeping busy. He's right on the rear of Darren Goes still. So Darren, who'll be out in Super Cup action after the lunch break in his TCR spec Seat, has got that pesky little Renault Clio snapping at his heels, with Alf Hyde behind the wheel working ever so hard to stick with the more modern Clio ahead. You can see the sort of evolution of the Renault Clio Cup car here at Brands Hatch today, with the older spec cars really holding their own, and Darren Goes is all too aware of that, with Alf Hyde right there, and then that BMW pack of John Line and the Dowsett and McGee pairing still there in 5th and 6th.
That's a good thing about this championship. It's based on power to weight ratio, so the older spec car is slightly lighter than the newer spec car, and therefore you can you end up in the same class, or you can weave a bit more power out of it. So it's really, really good the way it all works on power to weight ratio, and I don't think they're going to change too much and tinker too much with the MSVT Trackday Championship regulations for 2022 to the same extent as they are doing for the likes of the Super Cup that we'll see out later on. Still, despite the fact that Alf Hyde is trying to unlock the door to gain the place over Darren Goes, he's still not able to do it, and now in a straight line is his teammate John Line at the wheel of the Tyler Motorsport BMW, who's flashing his lights. Is he going to try and dive his way through? No, he's just too far away. So 3 as 1. Heading round through Paddock Hill Bend, 8 minutes of this still to go, whilst Scott Parkin still leads over the start-finish line. He goes, leading the way by a reasonable margin now of almost 3 seconds between himself and Chris Payne and the Caterham, who I think is running out of puff, isn't he? Yeah,
I don't think he's got much in response now to challenge the race lead up. 3 seconds is the gap, as you say, as the last year's outgoing champions now for this year, the Jordan Honeybone and Ray Honeybone pairing, currently running in 14th spot. They're going to lose their title today to the dark side run VW Golf of Scott Parkin ahead, who's got that comfortable advantage now over 3 seconds, as John Line is right on the tail of his teammate Alf Hyde. He flashed the lights coming down the Brabham Straight last time around, and it's a Tyler Motorsport scrap between the Alf Hyde run Renault Clio and the BMW driven by John Line behind. There's no change between them this time through as they go plunging down Paddock Hill Bend, up Halewoods and into Druids. This fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th is still on. It's Renault Clio versus Clio and BMW against BMW for 4th down into 7th position. It's 6th position, sorry. It's very close between the quartet, but no real difference between them as a flame spits from Alf Hyde's Renault Clio. He really is pushing on with 6 minutes left to run.
Yeah, he's got to keep pushing on. He's got no choice because he's trying to attack and defend at the same time. And there's a little bit of traffic up the road as well that could come into play over the course of the next few moments or so. So over the start-finish line now come car number 22, Darren Goes, still hanging on to third place, still with Alf Hyde in fourth. Again, the flash of the lights from Alf Hyde in the BMW, who's there in fifth place, but just can't weave his way through the two Clios that lie ahead. The traffic that's just up the road from them as well is going to be Freddie Hewitt at the wheel of his Mini, who is just about to be caught by this little trio, this little quartet of cars, whilst our race leader is not that far behind, almost lapping really this quartet, is it? Because the reorder wasn't done under the safety car, that played quite substantively into the hands of Scott Parkin and Chris Payne, because they almost gained sort of half, three-quarters of a lap, didn't they, really?
Yeah, it was very split at the safety car restart, but thankfully this battle between Goes and the rest wasn't broken up, and the BMWs are about to switch because Dowsett and McGee have got up the inside of John Line, and John Line's been forced out wide through clearways. Line has been flashing the lights and looking very aggressive and trying to make a move forward. Again, he flashes the lights because he's able to get around the outside of Dowsett and McGee, who, don't forget, will be driving that black BMW back up the motorway to Worcestershire later this afternoon. So they're hoping for a clean run to the checkered flag, but they've really been mixing it with the leading contenders inside the top 10, and John Line and McGee and Dowsett continue to squabble through Druids down into Graham Hill Bend. Darren Goes now has started to flash the lights because they've got Freddie Hewitt ahead. So yeah, everyone's making good use of their flashing the lights on the dashboard.
Yeah, so trying to get Freddie Hewitt out of the way. Freddie probably doesn't realise that he's not on the same lap as the cars that are queuing up behind him, but equally as much Freddie is involved in a battle. He's got the number 24 of Tom Oatley just ahead of him, so that's sort of 16th and 17th, getting caught by the cars that are 3rd, 4th and 5th in the race at this stage. So over the start-finish line they will come. Darren Goes with his lights on now. Freddie Hewitt taking no notice at all. The two Tyler Motorsport cars side by side. Alf Hyde, is he going to lose out to John Line? John Line's got the inside line through Paddock Hill Bend. He squeezes the BMW up the inside of the Clio, but Alf Hyde braves it out round the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, but he can't now close the door on his teammate as they head up towards Druid. So it is BMW up the inside of Renault Clio, and Alf Hyde is still not giving it up. The outside line at Druids gives him the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, and he's still side by side with his teammates as they come out of Graham Hill Bend. Eventually, though, in a straight line, through goes John Line, and is he going to lose out to the McKee Motorsport Beamer as well? No, just the one place lost for Alf Hyde. And finally, we've got a shuffle in the order because Freddie Hewitt has been passed now by Darren Goes, but he's trying to re-attack him and unlap himself again. I don't think Freddie knows he's getting lapped here. Freddie is a quick racer. He's a fair racer. He's a quick racer, but yeah, I think if he knew he was getting lapped, he'd get out of the way. Yeah, that was tough in this sort of mini endurance racing to be clear as to who you're fighting on the same lead lap, and Freddie Hewitt in the grey mini challenge car is being lapped. Alf Hyde's gone deep into Paddock Hill Bend. That's allowed the Dysett and McGee BMW to almost draw alongside. Under braking for Druids, they close up, but still this fight for third place will run to the flag because we have only 3 minutes this race left to go. This 45-minute encounter for the Trackday Championship has flown by, and Darren Goes is going to lose out to John Line. So Goes coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Third place does finally go away from Darren Goes, and it's John Line who comes up into third spot. And now that Renault Clio fight is on again because it's Alf Hyde versus Darren Goes for what is now fourth place. And look at the Team Darkside VW Golf is getting involved because it's coming through to lap this fight for third and fourth with the VW Golf involved. So that safety car during the pit stop phase has really mixed this 45-minute MSVT Trackday Championship race up, and it's been a really intriguing one from the get-go. And now the Team Darkside VW Golf has lapped Alf Hyde. It nips past Darren Goes, and Alf Hyde's up the inside of Goes, but there's contact between the Renault Clios at Druids. I think Alf Hyde and Darren Goes are trying to let the race leader through, and then Alf Hyde senses opportunity, and there's contact between the two, and Alf Hyde's going to lose out to the BMW of Dowsett and McGee. So it's all change in the top five, with McGee now getting up into fifth position in the BMW. Contact between Alf Hyde and Darren Goes at Druids. Both Clios have survived, but it all kicked off at the hairpin as the race-leading diesel-powered VW Golf of Scott Parkin joined the party and just had to get through. It's the faster car, it's the race leader.
blue flags would have been showing, but it just came at an awkward time when Alf Hyde and the BMW and everyone else was scrapping over third down to 6th place. We have 1.5 minutes of this one left to go, and the Team Darkside VW Golf of Scott Parkin has got John Line left to lap up at Druids. It should get through on the run out of Graham Hill Bend along the Cooper Straight, but it's still not done for 4th place because Darren Goes is now coming under intense pressure from the BMW of Dowsett and McGee, with Alf Hyde in what is a rather battle-scarred front end on the Renault Clio after its contact at Druids, going right around the outside at Surtees. Alf Hyde trying to go right around the outside of the BMW through the left-hand sequence of corners, can't get it done. He has done that move before, we saw it earlier on. We're into the final 50 seconds, so there really isn't long left to go of this one, but this fight for 4th, 5th and 6th places will rumble on right to the conclusion, and Alf Hyde's going to try and make a move on the BMW right around the outside. The little Renault Clio's going to right round the outside of the BMW, can't get the move done there. A bit of bodywork comes loose off the Clio as it charges up Halewoods, trying to go right around the outside of the BMW. This is for 5th place because the race leader Scott Parkin is coming into Graham Hill Bend now. He's not got long left to go in this one. He's 4.3 seconds clear of Chris Payne in the Caterham, who's about to start lapping Alf Hyde in the Clio. So it's all began to kick off in the last few stages of this one, and Alf Hyde's trying to throw everything at the BMW for what is 4th place. Can't get through there. The checker flag's being made ready though, and after 45 minutes of frantic action around Brands Hatch for the MSB Trackday Championship, Scott Parkin is going to come up to the line to win in the VW Golf. Parkin takes the flag after 45 minutes. 2nd place does go to the Caterham of Chris Payne in number 45 in the Class B. So 2nd in Class B, 2nd overall. The championship goes the way of Scott Parkin in his VW Golf, which we knew coming into this weekend anyway. We weren't sure over who would come in P2, but that does go the way